Identity shifting is the cheat code for success. Here is why you keep failing and why it's not your fault. You don't need more goals. You don't need willpower, motivation, or discipline. What you need is to kill the old version of you that couldn't survive at the level of your ambition. Because here is what nobody tells you. If your identity doesn't match your ambition, your brain will sabotage everything you build. And it won't feel like sabotage. It will feel like you're tired, burnt out, or not ready yet. Your brain has one job: to protect you. It would rather protect an old, outdated version of you than let you become someone it doesn't recognize. This feels like dying to your brain. So you start making progress, the momentum picks up, and then you pull back. Not because you're scared of failure, because success feels like betraying who you've always been. In this video I'm going to show you the hidden identity trap that's running your life and how to replace it with a system that makes change stick without willpower, without forcing it, and without pretending. We'll look at the identity trap, what's actually stopping you, the pattern that repeats while keep hitting the same wall, the brain that resists change and how to work with it, the system that makes you someone else, the environment that locks it in, and your action items. Let's start with why every breakthrough feels followed by a breakdown. Section 1, the identity trap, the real reason you never change. Most people think they fail because lack of time, knowledge, or discipline. That's not it. They fail because they're trying to build a whole new life while carrying around the identity of someone who doesn't belong there. It's like trying to fly with bricks in your backpack. The moment things start working, some hidden part of you hits the brakes. The strongest psychological force isn't desire, it's consistency. You will subconsciously sabotage anything that violates the image you've anchored as you. Even if you say you want more money, better relationships, or a bigger business, if your internal model still sees you as the struggler, the amateur, the person who barely makes it, you create just enough chaos to keep that story alive. Why new habits don't stick? This is why habits fail. Not because they're hard, because they're incompatible with your current identity. You start waking up at 5 AM, but you still see yourself as not a morning person, so the habit feels fake, forced, foreign, and eventually your nervous system drags you back to what feels normal. You launch something, you get early traction, then stop showing up. Not because you're afraid of failure, because success would destroy the role you've been playing. That is identity resistance. If you don't resolve it, you keep creating upper limits, false starts, burnout cycles that feel like life but are actually just your identity protecting itself. Every time you try to change your actions without changing your identity, you're creating an internal conflict. Your actions pull in one direction, your self-concept pulls the other. That tension creates friction. That friction creates resistance. And that resistance is what you call lack of discipline. You tell yourself you need more focus, more motivation, more willpower, but really your system is just trying to avoid the whiplash of becoming someone your brain doesn't recognize yet. Why your brain fights change? Your current identity kept you alive, kept you accepted, kept you safe. So anything that threatens it, even if it's better, gets treated as a danger. This isn't broken, this is self-preservation. Most people don't even know what identity they're running. Your brain doesn't shout "I'm unworthy" before you self-sabotage. It's subtle. It shows up in your posture, your tone, how you talk about money, how you handle compliments, the people you let in your life, and the chaos you tolerate. If you look at your routines, your bank account, your relationships, your workspace, it's all an echo of the self-image you haven't updated. And the more you act from that image, the more real it becomes. Even painful identities serve a function. Being the struggler gives you something to prove. Being the black sheep gives you a reason to stay disconnected. Being the burnout gives you an excuse to avoid risk. The story becomes comfortable, predictable, familiar. You might hate it, but at least you know how to live inside it. Why goal setting fails? This is why goal setting is mostly useless without identity work. You set a goal to hit 10k a month, but your internal model still sees you as the person who makes just enough. So every win feels temporary and every loss feels inevitable. You grind to close the gap, but never ask who's trying to cross it. When results come too fast or too slow, you crumble, not because of the outcome, because of the internal contradiction it creates. The only way out is to build a new identity scaffold, one that can hold the level you're aiming for. That means replacing outdated roles, reframing old stories, shifting from reactive to intentional. Identity has to be rebuilt like code, one update at a time, with clear signals, tight feedback, and constant recalibration. Because once the identity shifts, behavior becomes automatic. You stop trying, you just become. You're not broken, you're operating inside of a self-model that expired years ago. You don't need another vision board, you need to become someone else. Someone who naturally does the things, lives at the level, and holds the outcomes you're aiming for. Not as effort, as expression. You don't get what you want, You get what you are. So if you want something new, you have to become the person who has it by default. Section 2. The pattern that repeats, aka why you keep hitting the same wall. If it feels like you keep hitting the same obstacle over and over, it's because you are. It's not bad luck, it's not timing, it's not strategy, it's the pattern. There is a rhythm running underneath your life, shaped by your identity, that keeps producing the same outcomes no matter what tactics you try. And until you identify it and interrupt it, you keep looping. You're not stuck because what you're doing, you're stuck because you are repeating. This is where self-similarity becomes your mirror. It is a principle from math. Structures that look the same at every scale. Zoom in or out, the pattern holds. That's your identity. The way you handle your calendar is the way you handle money. The way you manage relationships is the way you manage risk. You think these are separate problems: procrastination, inconsistency, burnout, fear. They're not. They're symptoms of the repeating structure. If you trace the lines, you see you've been living inside of a fractal built to maintain your current identity. And the only way to break it is to disrupt it at the base. Patterns create behavior. Identity patterns don't just affect behavior, they create it. You think you're making choices, but most decisions are just pre-worded responses based on your self-model. You say you want to speak on stages, but when someone invites you, you downplay your expertise and ghost the opportunity. Why? Because that offer doesn't fit in the loop. It's not part of your story. Your brain favors similarity over freedom. It would rather repeat a known pattern than risk stepping outside of your current identity, even if what's outside is better. The neurological groove. Every time you run the pattern, it gets stronger. Habits aren't just mental, they're physical. They leave grooves in your brain. The more you fire a pattern, the more automatic it becomes. Your body memorizes the emotions attached to the outcomes. If failure feels similar, your system starts treating it as safe. You're not scared of failing, you're addicted to the rhythm of failing and getting back up. That's why your wins feel uncomfortable, they don't match your loop. So your nervous system creates tension to drag you back to emotional baseline. You attract from your pattern. You don't just act from the pattern, you attract from it. Your beliefs shape your perception. If you believe you're bad with memory, you subconsciously create situations that prove it. If you see yourself as the fixer, you keep creating problems to solve. Even people will reflect your identity whoop. You attract relationships that reinforce your default self-image, not challenge it. How to break the pattern? The only way to stop the pattern is to do something the current version of you would never do. Not something big, something unfamiliar. Raise your price without over-explaining. Say no without guilt. Publish without polishing. Ask for help without earning it. You will feel wrong, like you're faking it, but that's not a sign to stop. That's the sign the loop is disrupted. One disruption isn't enough. The loop wants to survive. You have to install new patterns and reinforce them until they feel normal. This is how identity shifts, to repeated signals, not intellectual understanding. Recognition equals power. Patterns lose power the moment you recognize they aren't you. You're not the loop, you're the one running it. And when you see the code, you can rewrite it. You don't need to fix every behavior, you just need to fix the structure that produces them. Break the pattern and the behaviors collapse on their own. Section 3. The brain that won't let you change. You're wired for sameness. You're not crazy for finding change difficult. Even good change feels like danger if it's unfamiliar. The more predictable your life, the safer your brain thinks it is. You're not broken. You're wired for sameness. Your brain doesn't care about your goals. It cares about keeping you alive. And the best way to do that, predict what happens next. That's why even self-destructive habits feel comforting. Staying in a job you hate still gives you a brain reward, certainty. Even if you're miserable, you still know what's coming. This is the cognitive dissonance. When your actions and identity don't match, your mind panics. Not because something's wrong, because something's inconsistent. If you spend 10 years seeing yourself as undisciplined and suddenly you wake up at 5 a.m. to train, your brain raises a red flag. It doesn't ask, is this better? It asks, does this match our story? If it doesn't, it fights back. That's why your body resists positive change. Not because it hates growth, because growth breaks the loop. You feel friction, fatigue, overwhelm, not as failure, as a sign you're stepping outside of your identity's comfort zone. Most people interpret this signal wrong and snap back right when the rewiring started to happen. You won't logic your way out of this. Your brain doesn't change through insight, it changes through proof. It updates its map when external data contradicts the old one enough times. This is Bayesian updating. It comes from probability theory. You start with a belief, your prior, and then as new data comes in, you adjust. You don't throw out the old belief completely, you revise it. Moment by moment, choice by choice. Every time you act like the future version of yourself, you give your brain new evidence. Slowly, your system starts seeing that identity as not just possible, but normal. Small actions beat grand gestures. What matters isn't what you tell yourself, it is what you show yourself. Small actions matter more than big declarations. Every time you act in alignment with your new identity, you feed your brain data. At a certain threshold it flips. It stops seeing it as a one-time thing and starts accepting this is how we operate now. You'll know it's working when it gets uncomfortable. You'll feel fake, guilty, like you're doing something wrong even though you're doing exactly what you said you wanted. The discomfort is the death rattle of the old identity. Expect it. It means you're no longer acting like who you've always been. This is where people quit. They feel the tension and think they're being inauthentic. They're not. They're just unfamiliar with the new version of themselves. It is like meeting a new person. The only way to make it natural is to keep showing up. Build consistency, not confidence. You're not building confidence here, you're building consistency. Identity is built like muscle, through resistance, repetition and rest. You can't believe yourself into a new identity. You have to act like the new version long enough that it becomes inevitable. Your nervous system doesn't respond to self-talk, it responds to behavior. Every aligned choice is a vote for the future you, not metaphorically, neurologically. You don't need to overhaul everything, you just need to win enough small bets that the scales tip. Your job isn't perfection, it's becoming undeniable. Flood the system with so much new evidence that the old self-image drowns. Eventually the new identity stops feeling aspirational and starts feeling familiar. You don't have to force it, you just live it. That's where authenticity returns. You're not trying to be this person anymore, you are them. Your brain caught up, your body stabilized, your contradictions dissolved. You're now in the position to upgrade everything, because the goal was never behavioral change, it was identity change. And once that clicks, everything gets easier. You're not fighting yourself anymore, you're moving in sync. The system that makes you someone else. Identity needs structure. Identity doesn't evolve in isolation. You don't just decide who you want to be and snap into it. You need a system. A structure that catches new behaviors before they collapse under old patterns. You need daily rhythms, physical anchors, environmental cues, social contexts that pull you forward when willpower runs dry. You can't white knuckle your way into a new self, but you can rig the game. Why system beats willpower? If you try to build a new identity without changing your inputs, you default to the same baseline. You say you're a creator now, but your desk is cluttered, your phone buzzes non-stop, you never block time to create. Your system is built for distraction, not creation. You reinforce the old identity every time the structure fails to support the new one. That failure gets internalized as, I guess I'm not that kind of a person. The system removes friction. It makes the new you easier to access. Stack behaviors onto routines that already exist. You already make a coffee. Add 60 seconds of journaling right after. That one shift moves your nervous system out of survival mode into execution mode. When it becomes normal, you don't think about it. And when you don't think about it, your energy goes to what matters. Your environment should be coded with signals that remind you who you are becoming. What's in your field of vision when you wake up? What notifications hit your phone? What's on your desk, your mirror, your calendar? Every input reinforces either the old self or the new one. There is no neutral signal. Remove visual noise, add internal cues. Prime your spaces to whisper the right message every time. The system shouldn't just support the new identity, it should block the old one. If you're becoming a creator, make distraction physically annoying. Phone in another room, delete apps, cancel subscriptions. A good system that doesn't optimize for focus, it protects it. Not with hope, with literal friction. Because the old you will try to sneak back when the energy dips. Track your trajectory. Without measurement, you drift. The system has to track progress. Did you execute the identity today? Yes or no? That's it, just data. Review your actions like an engineer, not emotionally, mechanically. What worked, what broke, what needs patching. The power of ritual. Don't underestimate ritual. Ritual builds rhythm, rhythm builds identity. Choose one repeatable action you do every single day. Not for results, for proof. Training in silence, journaling at sunrise, speaking the new identity out loud before checking your phone. These aren't cute habits, they're code. They program your system with meaning. Social acceleration. Soul transformation is slow. Social transformation is exponential. When people witness your evolution and reflect it back, it cements faster. The right people don't just encourage you, they expect the new you to show up. That expectation creates gravity, not toxic pressure, chemical pressure. A container that accelerates change. The system is alive, it adapts to you. The structure that got you from level 2 to level 5 will choke you at level 7. Be ruthless about reconfiguring it. Look at it like a machine. Strip what doesn't serve, keep it light, lean, lethal. The point isn't to make life robotic, it's to eliminate unnecessary negotiation. Once the system carries the load, your brain doesn't argue with itself about every action. That space, that clarity, is where you finally feel like you've become. When the system works, life generates momentum automatically. You stop being the person who's always trying to change. You become the person who doesn't have to try. The environment that finishes the job. Why identity shifts die. You've done the thinking, started the rewiring, built the system. Now comes the part that nobody talks about. Most identity shifts die in the dark. Not because the idea wasn't strong, not because the system didn't work, not because the person didn't want it. They die because the environment didn't change. If the environment doesn't shift, the identity can't stabilize. You can fight upstream for a while, but eventually you get tired and revert. The weight of old worlds. The old world keeps pulling on you. You make progress during the day, by night you are surrounded by people who still think like the old you, who treat ambition like arrogance, who normalize failure as safety, who punish clarity because they're scared of it. That weight adds up. If you're not careful, you start negotiating again, questioning yourself, turning down the volume just to keep the peace. The mirror problem. It's not just people, it's mirrors. Your current environment is a whole of distorted mirrors reflecting the weakest, smallest, safest version of you. Even if you evolve, you can't believe it if everyone treats you like who you used to be. You make a bold move, they question it. You take a risk, they remind you of the downsides. You win, they say you changed. Not as a compliment. But what happens when the mirrors change? When everyone around you is playing the same game. When winning is expected. When honesty is mandatory. When becoming is normal. That's when identity stops being uphill and becomes downhill momentum. You become who you are around. Around clarity you get clear. Around creators you create. Around warriors you sharpen. Most people don't need another book or insight. They need to stop being the smartest person in the room. The fastest way to reprogram your identity, live in a space where the new you is the baseline. Not pressure that crushes, pressure that calls you up, not coddling, permission to go all in. For once, you're not the only one who sees what you see. If you are looking for an already made system that changes your identity within 14 days, you can check the first link in the description. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.